Hello, it's Reija and welcome to another video. Today I am going to be doing my July reading wrap-up, which incidentally is also my Owls wrap-up, because in preparation for August's NEWTs I was doing my Owls examinations. So without further ado, let's get started. First up, I read Lost Gods by Micah Yongo. I read this in ebook, and I have to say that I did not like it. It is a story about the world's most incompetent assassins who reveal their assassin status to pretty much any rando who comes in the vicinity of them, and that book just rubbed me the wrong way in so many ways. I made a full review of it, which I will put in the cards in here, so I won't talk about it too much, but basically the pacing, characterization and world building were all off. This has probably been the worst book I have read all year. And yeah, the characters were flat, the world building was very shallow, and what rubbed me the wrong way the most was the sheer incompetence on display. Like, for assassins, these characters are too trusting and just plain stupid. There's no other way to put it. I gave Lost Gods 1.5 stars, and for all that it is very diverse, I would not actually recommend it because it is very poorly written. And I read Lost Gods for the Defense Against the Dark Arts examination, which was to read a book about a secret society. Though unfortunately this wasn't a very secret society in the end. Next book I read was The Power, and it was for Ancient Runes to read a book with a symbol on the cover, and it has lightning symbols on it, so it fits. And it was also July's pick for the BookTube Discord server book club. And I have to say that I wasn't really keen on this book either. The premise, which is that what if women were physically stronger and physically more capable than men, and how would that affect society, and what if sexism worked the other way around? That's basically the premise. And the way the book handles it is, in my opinion, a missed opportunity. It is very simplistic. It kind of treats the whole world as if all the cultures in the world are the same and all the women would react the same way to each of these things. I also found it incredibly unrealistic that women who would have been, like grown women, who would have been socialized to deal with sexism since early age would suddenly become sexist themselves. I get that like future generations and new generations and women who were born with the power, that they would start displaying different kinds of behaviors, but you know, like women who did not grow up with the power, they would have been socialized differently, that they would start displaying this kind of sexist and downright rapey behavior was very unrealistic to me. Also, this book completely misses the mark when it comes to queer characters. Everyone in this book is straight, all the men are straight, all the women are straight. There is no mention of transgendered men or women. which is a huge missed opportunity. And the whole way this book deals with gender is very simplistic, and I just did not really care for it. I ended up giving this 2.5 stars. The writing was pretty good. I did like the premise, but the execution wasn't all that great. Next up, I read Heartless by Gail Carriger, and this was for Transfiguration, read a book with shapeshifting. And this is an urban steampunk fantasy with werewolves and vampires, and werewolves are shapeshifters, so it fits. And unfortunately, I did not like this very much either. I did like Blameless, the previous book in the series. It was okay, but I think that this one is a step down from Blameless. I feel like Alexia's characterization took a step back. It was kind of like she regressed completely in this book. Like her character development that she got in the previous book didn't happen. And I was not here for it. It made Alexia seem selfish and kind of uncaring, and I just did not like that at all. I also felt that the whole conflict was really weak. There were a lot of red herrings about to distract you from what was actually going on, and it made the characters come across as kind of stupid because they weren't realizing what was really going on, even though what was really going on is super obvious from the get-go. So this just did not grab me too well. So I ended up giving this one 2.5 stars as well. And then I read Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse, which I read for Charms class, which was to read a fantasy book, and this is urban fantasy. And I probably will be in the minority when I say that this was just okay. I liked the world building. I loved the inclusion of Navajo legends and Navajo culture into this world building, and it kind of flowed very organically into the cataclysmic events that resulted in this post-apocalyptic world. I like that. I liked the inclusion of kind of like modern history to flavor it, and the world building was stellar. I also loved the characterization of Maggie. She is a kind of plain-looking girl with PTSD and general anxiety disorder, and it is dealt very well. Her character is really complex. She comes across sometimes as whiny, but also strong. She has layers. I really like that. I did not like the romance because it kind of felt like it was tacked on before the two characters even met. People were already trying to pimp them together, and it just grossed me out. I did not care for it. And anytime any new characters came around and saw these two people, Maggie and Kai, together, they were like, "Oh, are you two together? Are you an item or something?" And that kind of hinting and kind of nudging of these two, even when they're both denying it, it just was so annoying. It didn't feel organic. It felt meddling and so unnecessary. And I described this book to some of my friends as being aggressively straight. This is probably the most heterosexual book that I have read in a long while. It is kind of similar in that sense to The Power. Like I didn't get any feeling that there was even option for queerness in either of these characters in the way that they were presented. Which brings me to another point. There is a queer character in this book, And that annoyed the hell out of me too, because the way they were portrayed was very shallow. They were kind of like the gay best friend in this main character's makeover scene. And I was like, was this the best way to bring this character about? I feel like they are going to be in a bigger role in the next book, but as it was handled in this one, I was just like, I wasn't all about it. And also, Maggie is constantly pining after her ex-mentor, but we don't really see any scenes between her and her mentor aside from this traumatic flashback scene. I would have liked to have gotten some other flashback scenes about their relationship, about like some domestic scenes, because I wasn't believing that they had this close relationship, because I didn't see it and it didn't come across in the way they interacted when they do meet. So those were kind of the missed opportunities. Also, the ending just kind of comes like this. This book is all about these side quests to do, this book is about fetch quests, basically. These characters are driving about doing stuff, and then the ending just kind of comes along at some point. It's basically like you're grinding in a video game and you're leveling up your characters and doing all the fetch quests before you go meet the final boss. This was basically how it felt to me. But other than that, I kind of liked it. I gave this one 3 stars, and it was okay. I'm looking forward to the next one. And finally, I read Space Unicorn Blues by TJ Berry, and I read it on ebook. And I really loved it. I made a full review of it, which I will link in the cards. And I just felt that it was effortless. It was fun. It didn't pull any punches. It was a kind of raw reading experience. It is all about redemption and redeeming oneself, and kind of the effects of colonialism and effects of doing something horrible to someone and being able to start anew and being able to forgive yourself for doing those things. And also, when you are a victim of something horrible, being able to get past it, being able to face the trauma and heal. And even though the book is very gruesome at some points, it is so heartfelt, and I really liked it. And I can't say any more about it. If you want to know more, you can check out my review. But I gave Space Unicorn Blues 4 stars. It was really good. And I also read it for potions class, which was to read a book with alchemy in it. And since I view that alchemy is a blend of magic and science, and this book has space travel that is made possible by grinding unicorn horn into the FTL drive, I thought that it would pass for alchemy. And there you have it. This has been my July reading wrap-up. If you like this video, please consider giving a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And before I go, I want to thank all the people who have been subscribing to my channel in the past few weeks when I've been gone. You are very much appreciated. I hope you like what you see. I hope you stick around, and I'm so grateful to have you all here. Thank you so much for subscribing. And I will see you in another video very soon. Bye bye!